Hey guys, it's Bryce, and welcome back to another music review. And in this review, I am going to go over the album that I got at Winter Jam this year, 2018. At the moment of this recording, the album is unreleased. At least that's what Dan Bremnes told all of us. And the album itself is called Wherever I Go. And I think on iTunes right now, the song "Up Again" is the only one that I've actually seen on there. It's available as a single, but this album really, I think it's more of an EP actually than a full album because there's only 7 tracks on it. Um, Due to be set out at some point this year by Word Entertainment, and the reason why, well, aside from being the publisher, the reason why I'm going to note that is because in doing some research, I happened to notice that Dan's full-length album, which I haven't reviewed yet, was actually put out by Sparrow. So at some point between 2015 and now, he switched from Sparrow to Word Entertainment, which is a pretty big deal. Anybody who leaves Sparrow, it's a big deal because Sparrow's just so used to getting everyone under their giant monopoly and controlling the world. So if anyone leaves Sparrow to go to someplace else, that to me that's a pretty big deal, especially when it's someone who is really young in their career. And usually Sparrow is kind of like the WWE in a sense, where you go there to try to make your career, to turn yourself into someone who's going to be remembered forever, typically anyway, that kind of a thing. But leaving a place like that and going somewhere else to build your career, that's a pretty bold move. So anyway, enough about that. Let's actually get into the album itself. So that, like I said, there's only 7 tracks, and they all carry, with the exception of the last one, they all carry a very pop-heavy sound, as so goes the world today, I guess. Track 1 is Wherever I Go. This is the title track, and there's a what I believe is a piano program. It kind of sort of sounds like a real piano, but at the same time, it also sounds a little bit too fake. So I'm going to assume it's a program of some kind that is playing quarter notes throughout the whole song, or for most of the song anyway. It does take a few breaks every now and then. So that's something that's pretty prominent. I feel like this song displays Dan's vocals really well. The singer talks about his life and how God is always with him. That's the gist of the song, and I think the song has got a great melody line to it. I would really like to hear this with real instruments. This is one of the ones that Dan played for us when he came outside for all the people who had showed up early. This is one of the songs that he played outside. And it sounded really good acoustically, like with just him and his guitar. I would love to hear an official track laid down for that, and I would love to hear this song with real instruments instead of programs, because that would just be amazing. I think it's very well written, very very good song. Track 2, How You Love Me. So this song feels pretty mellow overall. Dan kind of starts singing low in the first verse, and by the chorus, maybe the second verse or something like that, he's starting to kind of sing like a little bit more of his normal voice. In the verses, also, there's a couple lines where they have like a nice rhythmic run that's going on, a little rhythmic phrase in them, and kind of gives it a little bit of character. The singer is amazed how God loves him despite his wrongdoings. So that's the message of the song, and all in all, this is another well put together song. one that is completely single worthy, just like Wherever I Go is. Track 3 is Up Again. And to me, the bass line, this is in the verses only, because in the chorus, I think there's an actual bass guitar sound being produced. But in the verses, the bass line almost to me sounds like a PVC instrument. If you don't know what a PVC instrument is, it's basically those mallet keyboards that are made out of PVC piping that like Blue Man Group uses. And I don't think it's that itself, but it sounds very similar to that. So it's cool. It's kind of unique, and this is a song that in the chorus also has some brass featured in it. I think it's primarily trumpets, but there might be a trombone thrown in there as well. This is a bright, happy feeling song that's designed to encourage people not to succumb to defeat or depression. That's pretty much what the gist of the song is about. And like I said earlier, this is a single already on iTunes. That's available. It's definitely written like it's supposed to be a single. So, track 4 is Speak to Me. To me, I think this is probably going to be a song that really should get attention, but is probably not going to get attention, which is but it's too early to judge that. I'm worried that might be the case. It's a slow, a lot more intimate song, and really what I like about this, from the mixing to me, sounds like it could be from a film score. To me, it sounds so clear, so just very well put together. I mean, I picture this type of song being like during the end credits, that type of a song that's playing. It's very, very good. It maintains the pop theme that Dan has established in this, but it also adds kind of like a soul gospel kind of feel to it, especially with the background vocals that are brought up in the chorus. I'm pretty sure that's where they're primarily located. The singer appears to be grieving and is begging God to speak to him because it's the only thing that will help him out. So again, I think I'm predicting that this song is going to be more underrated than it should be. I hope it's not. I'm hoping that this is a song that gets some appreciation. Track 5 is Going Together, and in this one, I like the composition in this one. The background movements in the chorus kind of remind me of For King and Country a little bit. Just a little bit more of a symphonic element to it, and nice harmonic lines going with the background vocals. It's really cool. The song is written from the singer, for the singer's spouse, talking about just kind of where they've been, where they are right now, and where they're going. So this is obviously not a song that you're going to be singing in your church for worship, but at the same time, though, it's, if I think Christian artists can sing about some other stuff on occasion. I think primarily it should be either praise directly to God or talking about the things that God does, and just stuff like that, just Jesus centered. But every now and then a song like this that kind of still kind of talks about how God has been with them in their marriage or something like that, but the song is directed still to the spouse or something like that. A song like that every now and then is fine with me, and I think overall the song gets the job done in that regard. So yeah. But that having been said, though, I don't think it's as well written as some of the other ones. So it's going to lose a little bit of points with me on that. Anyway, let's move on to track 6, The Way. So this is a good song, but Again, probably more so than any of the other ones. This one just doesn't stand on its own in regards to the album or with anything else that's really out there and available. The song reflects how God has worked through the singer's life to make the singer more like him being God, of course. That's really the gist of the song. There's just not much else to say about it. Track 7 is It Would Have Been Enough, and this one has more of an acoustic contemporary feel. The song describes God leading Israel through the desert and Jesus coming to earth as acts of love, but he didn't stop there. Jesus didn't stop there. He could, it could have been in a sense, it could have been enough, leading Israel through the desert and him coming to earth just to be with us. Those were acts of love that were displayed, and that would have, that could have just been its own thing, and it would have been proof that God loves people. But Jesus took it a step further, and he went to the cross and died for everyone who didn't deserve him to do that in the greatest act of love. The Bible says, "Greater love has no one than this, than he who lays down his life for another." So, I probably just terribly butchered how the message that the song is trying to get across, but nonetheless, that's how it is, and it's I think it is a tad weak for a closer. But then again, since it's an EP, I'm not going to hate on it too much for that. I think maybe having something else, like maybe even having "Speak to Me" being at the end of the album would have maybe been a little bit better, end a little bit more strongly. But in any case, that's all 7 tracks for this, and Dan's voice to me is it's a very good voice. There's some elements that remind me of Bart Millard from Mercy Me. There's some elements that, ironically, even though Dan's voice range has nowhere near as low as Jeremy Camp's, there's some elements of his voice that remind me of Jeremy Camp. So, and just a little fun fact I'm going to throw out. Apparently, Dan is Canadian. So, there's that. I mean, that has absolutely nothing to do with points for the review or anything. I just thought I'd throw that out there. I think with this just being an EP and not a full album, I'm gonna give this a probably a 4 out of 5. Just because I don't want to rate it too high since it's not a full album. I just feel like higher scores should be reserved for full albums. I don't really need to get into detail about that. But for what has been produced on this, I think it's very good. I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to have any second tier recommendations. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to recommend the first 4 tracks equally. I will say my personal favorites are probably Wherever I Go and Speak to Me, but I recommend all 4 of them equally. How You Love Me and Up Again, I recommend those equally with the other 2 because those are very the structure of the songs are very well put together, and they very much sound radio ready, if you will. But anyway, when this comes out, I don't usually get to say this, but when this comes out, I recommend that you guys get it and check it out. I think that I think Dan's songwriting, like the messages behind his songs, are very good. From what I've heard so far, his songwriting is very well put together, even though it's mostly one style. I think just from what I've heard so far, Dan's music seems to be, his songwriting anyway, seems to be on the same type of caliber as somebody like Matthew West, which is a huge compliment to give him, if I do say so myself, because Matthew West is one of the best songwriters that I've ever seen. Dan's musical career right now is young, but you know, I'm hoping that more full albums come out in the future because I really would like to hear. I just want to hear. I want to be able to hear more of his music. I think he's got a very strong God given talent for this, and I can't wait to hear more. I'm gonna check out his full length album eventually, but props to Mr. Dan Bremnes. That is it's a very good EP. It's a nice quick listen to as well. So if you're in for if you don't want to sit down and listen to a bunch of music at one time, you'll probably get through this a lot quicker. You probably get through this in a car ride depending on where you're going. So there's a lot of good benefits to this. But anyway, anything else I say is probably going to end up being redundant, so I'm just going to go ahead and end the review off right here. Thank you guys very much for listening to this. As far as what we got going on for future music reviews, I'm going to take a step backward in time to the year 1995. At least I think that's when it came out. And I'm going to be reviewing Michael W. Smith's I'll Lead You Home. And then after that, we're going to jump back into the modern era. Probably, I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of maybe Anthony Evans or Jordan Felice, maybe completely different direction. I'm really not entirely sure, but those are kind of the guys that I'm thinking of playing around with, trying to review their music. And that's just for the that's just for the near future. And of course, I want to get back eventually to the golden age because we've still got a lot of really good music to cover from the artists we've reviewed, plus the other artists from that era. But so it's just trying to figure out what should be a priority, and everything is a little difficult, but I'm trying to work all that out. Anyway, but if you guys have enjoyed this review, and all the past reviews, then stick around, and because there's more good music to be discussed about in the future. So, but if you have any music that you would like me to review, then please let me know. I'll take a listen to it, and I'll try to fit it in the schedule as best as I can. But for now, you guys, I'm going to end this off. Let me just say, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and as always, please take care.